Good evening and welcome to the J. Duke Show, streaming live on 5 channels worldwide this evening. We're on Facebook at Equivault, the J. Duke page, jumping instructors, dressage instructors, and also live on YouTube. I'd like to thank my producers, Laura Kellen-May and Randy Thompson. This episode of the J. Duke Show is presented by theequivault.com, the largest online resource of show jumping lessons in the world, with guest lessons from stars of the sport such as Beezy Madden, Bernie Traurig, Malene Barriard, Ann Krasinski, and many more. With training modules from perfecting lead changes to gymnastics to coursework, theequivault.com is a perfect accessory to your training program. Check it out at the www.theequivault.com. So excited tonight to have two of my wonderful friends from the show jumping world, Joie Gaitlin and Morley Abey. Let me introduce you to them. Joie is a leading competitor on the U.S. national show jumping circuit. She has won the United States equestrian team medal finals. That's quite the accomplishment, Joie. Well done. The Rulin Rookie of the Year, as well as several other national championships. Joie has ridden several Hunters to Horse of the Year awards, won numerous classes at the Grand Prix level, represented the United States in World Cup competitions, and competed in the Olympic trials. As a member of the West Coast Active Riders European Tour, Joie won several European Grand Prix events and received the Leading Lady Rider Award at Royan, France. Morley has coached multiple students to be consistent winners in the equitation, hunter, and jumper divisions. His students have won classes at the major shows across the country. He has been the chef to keep for the USHJ Zone 10 North American Junior Young Riders Championship teams. In 2016, he guided them to Young Rider Team Bronze and Junior Rider Team Silver. For his efforts, Morley was awarded the Christo Cup, an award given to the chef to keep who best exemplifies Christo's enthusiasm and professionalism. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Jay.
So great to have you guys here. From where in California are you?
We are in San Juan Capistrano, California, Orange County area.
Well, that's not a bad place to be. That's for sure.
Right in between LA and San Diego. Exactly.
Perfect. Let's start off with your background in horses. You know, people talk, and with good reason, this sport is known somewhat as an elitist sport. And that's a viable thing to say, but all sports today have a lot of cost to them, and horses are no different. But a lot of people think, well, okay, you need to have a certain start and a certain background in horses to be successful. You two, you're a power couple. You're one of the top couples in North America as far as being successful, and you both got here through hard work and some great decisions, and it's truly a wonderful American success story. So, Joie, let's start with you. How'd you get beginning with horses?
Well, coming from a horse family was very helpful. My mom was Miss Rodeo America in 1961. She was from Colorado, and she married my father, a cowboy from Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, that ended up being a stuntman and a second unit director, stunt coordinator in the motion picture business in LA. So, growing up, we had horses, and ponies, my pinto horse, and I just started riding bareback. I'd go help my dad if he went team roping and run the steers back up and things like that. And just really with my best friends, we'd go running around the hills, bareback, and ride to the liquor store and get candy and soda. And we just did that. And it was about when I was about 10, my mom's very best friend, Charlotte, said, I've been taking these English riding lessons, and maybe you should take Joey up there. She might like this. So that was kind of the beginning. Thanks to Charlotte, went up to Lyndall Eldred and Steve Cross were my first trainers, and started with their little school horses and worked my way up. We were there a couple years, and by the end, I had recruited my dad's stunt horse, his falling horse, to be my hunter and jumper and equitation horse, because back in those days, you had one horse to do everything with. And from there, I moved on and rode a couple years with Randy Redmer. And then towards the end of my last couple junior years, I rode with Richard Keller. And that's when we went to New York. I was fifth in the Maclay, Rulin Rookie of the Year, won my first Grand Prix that year as a 17-year-old, and did World Cup classes and things like that. And all the way through, just, a lot of hard work and the love for the horses. And I love what I do.
Wow.
I could go after that.
Yeah, notice I led with her in order to
keep
the audience interest. Yes. That's really, really a wonderful story. And and that just that background and that diversity that you have to where you are. I mean, that's obviously been such a benefit to what you're able to accomplish today.
Yeah. It was great growing up like I did with my parents, just being Western cowboy, cowgirl, nothing super formal, but a lot of horsemanship, like, taking care of the horses and, just enjoying the horses, no pressure with them. And I'm very grateful for all the times that I had learning all that from them.
Fantastic. Morley, you and I are from the same hometown.
We are. I think we grew up.
We go back a little ways. Tell me about your past and how you got started with the horses.
Well, before I married Joie Gaitlin, there really wasn't one, obviously, because I'm not going to talk. I'm just kidding. And I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, or Devon, actually closer city or town. My mother and father ran Abey stables when I grew up, and from that, my mother and father divorced, and my mother continued the business. And I started as a junior and kind of rode behind you, actually, for a number of years. I believe I took a lot of blue ribbons, which would be second in Canada.
I don't recall you being in any of the classes, actually.
Yeah, I was the one actually ahead of you. But just kidding. Yeah, and then when I graduated high school, I went to work for Jonathan Aslan, and that's sort of when my, formal training would take place. When you're taught by your parents, as you well know, you don't really listen very much. You kind of think you know what you're doing. And it took about Jonathan 2 years to knock that out of me. And I credit Jonathan and Nancy to a lot of my success or where I'm at now because of what they taught me and what I learned, both privately and both professionally. And then my mother got sick, and I went back to run the business, which would probably be something I might change, but it changed something you wouldn't end up here, so I guess I shouldn't. And you introduced me to Joie Gaitlin in 1996, and that's when I made the decision to move to California. Hopped in a car with a good friend of ours, $1,500 in my pocket, and here I am.
Here you are.
Side note, I got a phone call from Vegas. Hey, guess where I am? I'm like, I'm in Vegas. I'll see you in like a few hours.
Okay, first of all, we can get into that.
So it was pretty funny.
And it's interesting to talk about our diverse. We're very much the same in the hard work, and we didn't come from much. And we worked hard together to get where we are. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't take money. It takes passion, and it takes hard work. And it really, every day, I think their dynamic is interesting because Joey's very consistent. She's 1 + 1 = 2. And I've tried to make 1 + 1 = 3 my whole life. And I think that's where the diversity in that really makes us strong. We both balance each other out that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no question you're a true team. And that's something that is so key in this sport because there's so many demands on the professionals in this sport. And so the better your teamwork, obviously, the better the results. You're currently at the Oaks in San Juan Capistrano, which is a world famous show facility. How'd you end up there?
Well, for me, it's really sentimental. It's like coming full circle. As everyone knows, maybe not everyone, but in 1992, 1996, I worked for Joe and Irvine Smith, who owned the whole property. And so I've loved being here, riding through the fields, and she had great derby ring, and it was a lot of horses to ride and a great experience. And then as Morley and I built our business over the years, a few years ago, we had a nice new client come into the barn, and we had to move barns for a little bit to a place up in the canyon. So it was like, we'd really like to be back in San Juan Capistrano. And Morley kind of put the bug out there, let's see if we can find something in San Juan Capistrano. And Morley did. Morley found that the Oaks was for sale. And we were very fortunate that a couple of our clients were like, well, let's make an investment in that. And so they did. So we've been here now 3 years, I think. And it's wonderful coming back to San Juan. It's great being close to home. We're very fortunate. Across the creek are the shows at Blenheim Equisports. And it's a peaceful, beautiful barn to be at with the grass fields and the big ring and the big oak trees. It's wonderful.
I think emotion of that, it is really a sense of coming home for her. It was the first show I went to in California when I arrived. I worked for Scott and Kyle King when I first arrived, and we went to the auction here. So I got to meet Joan at that moment. I met Joey again. Well, obviously I was dating her at the time, but it's just interesting how things come full circle. And I think for Joey, it's very special. She's here again.
Definitely.
That's now you've mentioned a few people from your past. Morley, I remember you going to work for Jonathan Aslan, and I remember all of us locals thinking that was a very interesting decision on his part to pick you. And how much respect that you earned in that period of time. I mean, the work you put in, the progress you made, and the benefit that you were to his business as well was really, really impressive. And that, I think, was a great catapult to your career. And then Joey, you mentioned, riding for Joan Irvine Smith at the Oaks, and I remember that was quite the operation. The number of horses, number of people that would show up there, and I know you had your ups and downs with that there, but I think it sounds like those years in your life were real character building and career building moments.
They were, for sure. Here at the Oaks, there were several other riders, and you really didn't have a lot of ground help. So I built my system from what I'd learned from previous trainers and watching and things like that. And I just tried to be very consistent with my horses and consistent with what was comfortable for me and how to train them. And, asking questions and things like that and watching other riders. There were a brief couple times where we had Bernie Traurig in to help us a little bit. I was able to have a little bit of outside help here and there. But for the most part, you were on your own here. And it was character building. It taught you how to really look at each horse and try to figure that out. Because I was in my 20s at the time, but nice experience, good experience. I ride well, but putting the whole thing together was very much a building to the system that we run now. And I learned a lot, made a few mistakes along the way for sure. But I think it was a great experience.
I'd like to hear about these mistakes. I never hear about our mistakes. But I think it's interesting to pick up on that, Jay. That's very smart of you. Because I think those years for both of us were very developed who we are. I know when I went to work for Jonathan, I was mealy-mouthed, lazy, thought I was better than I was. And when I rode with him a month before I went to work, I rode with him the summer before. And then when I went home, he actually phoned me and offered me the job. And I was a little bit in shock and decided I better take it. And it was interesting. He really did take his time. And I credit him. You ask anybody, I credit him 100% in anything that I do right and nothing that I do wrong. He really did. It was a big gamble on his part and Nancy's part. And they both invested a lot of time and energy into me. And they taught me to work hard. They actually, working hard came from them for sure.
Yes. Yeah, no question about it. And again, what you're both touching on there is, I think, without saying it, is horsemanship, developing a full program. It's, to be successful, it's not enough just to be a good rider. It's not enough just to be a good teacher or just, you have to wear multiple hats. And so in both those situations for you two, you learned about creating the program. And that involves the marketing and the training of the horses and the buying and the selling of the horses and the showing of them. And there's so many elements to it. One of the things I find in this industry can be very difficult for people is an individual trying to do so many things. Can you explain a little bit about your team and what it takes for Joey, Gaitlin, Morley, Abey show jumping to be successful?
You mind?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to take lead on this just because Joey is the boss, and really it's Joey, Gaitlin, Morley, Abey in that order for a reason.
Well, we have your name on it now. It took about 10 years to get your name on it.
It did.
No, it took me 7.5 actually. But the reason it did happen is our business manager, Chip McKinney. He runs McKinney Media. Look him up. He found Joey when she first started a business and loved her riding and loved what she was and really really wanted to work for her and ended up working for her. When I came on, the same thing. And Chip instilled a lot of the cornerstones to our business that we have now. No deals. Be careful who you take for customers. All the things that really solidify. And he really is the backbone of our team. If we have any issue or any problem, he's the first person we call because he does have a higher education. He does have a third person point of view. If we don't make money, he doesn't get money. He's invested in our business in a lot of ways, and he's become a lifelong friend as well. And he's weathered all the storms that we've gone through with us. And really, without him, the team around us wouldn't feel secure, because he just adds that element of safe or strong or go ahead. Right.
Yeah, no, Chip is great. He's a voice of reason a lot of times too. He's a good liaison when there's, maybe an issue with a client or a situation or something like that. He's always been there for us. And I think with our program, it's very structured. And I think that everyone that rides with us and has ridden with us has been very fortunate, because they have Morley on the ground and doing a lot of the teaching. And then they have myself on the horses and to set them up, kind of regroup everybody and things like that, and teach. So they really do, benefit from getting both a ground person and a rider for them and their horses. And, we have a real consistent program. And I believe that horses really learn the best from being consistent with them. Monday's their day off, they get, maybe on the turnout, the walker or something like that. Tuesday's a hack day. Wednesday is a structured lesson day with some cavalettis and things like that. And again, Thursday we do something structured. Gymnastics are in the ring, a little bit lighter on Friday. Don't tell them the whole
program here. That's expensive to get the whole program.
And then Saturday and Sunday, it's kind of, what are we working towards? Are we working towards a show? Are we in the situation we're in now, where we're just kind of not keeping the horses nicely fit? So I think what's comforting to the horses and what has worked well for a lot of clients that are from out of state or have businesses or families is we have a lot of consistency, and it gives people security, I believe.
And to divert from off the question just for a second, I think that's an interesting topic she brings up, is the diversity and people who gravitate towards us. When 2009 came around and the economy crashed, that was our best year. Our best 2 years. People, when things get weird or things start to fall apart, people want stability with their horses. They don't want to worry about staff leaving. They don't want to worry about things. And that's what Joey, and that's for sure Joey has added that a lot to the business. But the stability of that, knowing that we will show up to work and our staff will do their job and horses will be taken care of. And we've seen that again now. We've actually had an influx of interest and clients to the barn.
Yeah, that's key. Consistent planning, a solid team, and I think that applies to all sports in general and to all businesses in general. Is that having those people in the background that are there for you? And certainly, what I'm hearing here is you've got teamwork, you've got a foundation, you've got a plan, and so I think now we're all finding out why you're doing so well. So that's great to hear. Let's talk about being a couple in the horse show world. You're on the road a lot. I know you two generally are the horse shows together, but obviously you're not together all the time. And I understand, how that works for Joey, but Morley, how is it for you to deal with, spending time apart from your partner, and also having your partner being your business partner / boss? How have you dealt with that for so long?
I think it's good and bad. I'll talk on both sides of my mouth that way. It's interesting. I'm an interesting person, as you very well know. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. And doing that, it's hard. And I've taken several breaks from the business because I just couldn't handle it. I got stressed out and it just overwhelmed me. And without Joey, she's so consistent. I can't tell you enough how consistent she is. She's just the same person every day. And it's been really solid for the business and added that. So it has allowed me to come in and out. And it has been my choice not to go to every horse show, because the negativity at some of the horse shows is overwhelming for me. And I just can't wear it all the time. So we've worked that out. And if she wasn't married to me, she probably would have fired me. I would have, right? But I do add an element to the business. I do enjoy it. Horses have saved my life and made my life hard in the same breath. But what I've learned now, being 47 and going through some of the worst things I've gone through, is I do love it. And I love the people as much as I love the horses, but I do love her. And I think more than love her, I respect her. And I think that's the biggest thing. Once I realized her name is first on the banner for a reason, and I respect myself and her, you can't lose, right? No one can, and someone can throw a boulder at us and it's not going to get through. Even when one's weak, the other one will help the other one.
That really comes through. It's a very apparent to everybody, and I'm sure even people watching tonight that are not familiar with you. the strength of your relationship and how you've worked through things and to get to where you are. That's well done. How are you dealing with 2020? We were down in Thermal together and we were showing and everything's rolling along. And then all of a sudden, boom, everyone is aware of what's happened. How are the two of you dealing business wise with the complexities and issues of 2020?
Well, it started out great. We had a great thermal, which, everybody was in a good mood even when all of that ended. When all of this situation started, we gave ourselves a couple of weeks to get organized. We took the recommendations from the government and everything like that about the stay at home, and we had everyone stay at home just so that we could be organized with the horses. We could organize our staff and put them at ease that no matter what, we've got your back. And we're very fortunate. We live together with our barn manager, Lisa. She's with us, so we know all of the contact there.
And that's key. Have someone else live with you when you're married and work together. You don't fight all the time. Our staff, we have a family, the Coronas, and 3 of that family works with us all the time, and they all live together. So we were fortunate that we didn't have to worry about a lot of outside contact. We gave ourselves a couple weeks, got organized, and then with the way our business works, we were able to then have the clients come every hour, and we just kind of spaced them out. We kept our staff calm by just saying, look, we're here for you. If you need something, let us know. If you're worried about finances, let us know. We'll help you out. And I think as far as the clients and stuff, we just communicated them. We took care of their horses the same way that we always would. Again, the consistent program. We just continued our program the same. And again, I think Joey speaks of consistency. My attribute, my best quality is when things suck, I'm amazing. That's when I shine. So really, this is my time. Every day I bring the staff in and I say, hey, what do you need? This ship, if it sinks, we're all going down together. I'm not jumping ship and you're not losing your job. I'll sell my house to keep your job. And I know it's a terrible business model, but that's how we always run it. And no matter what, our staff means as much to us as the horses do. And it's paramount because without them, we've done it by ourselves and it's not fun.
What would to the 20-year-olds out there that are looking, they love horses, they've been riding as a junior, they're looking to get into the business and start up the business. Morley, what advice would you have to those people?
I think don't always look for the bigger, better thing. The one thing I've learned, and I've tried it all with horses, it's consistency, basic horsemanship. Learn it. Learn to break a horse. So many people now or kids now or whatever I see, I guarantee you, they couldn't long line a horse if they wanted to. Jonathan watched me get drug around the ring. They need to learn that. They need to get their britches dirty. They need to understand where the carrot goes.
Right. Horsemanship. That word comes up quite a bit.
Your father. I've learned more from your father when I was 8 years old than I've learned from most people.
Yes. Yeah. Well, me too. I was on a trail ride with him today, actually, and he was still out there instructing. So myself and telling me what to do. So it never ends. The sport, where do you think it's going? In the last 15, 20 years, we've seen a lot of changes in the sport, a lot of pros, a lot of cons. Joey, what do you think is going to happen? Where do you see show jumping in, say, 2035? What do you think the sport's going to look like?
It's it is a much different sport than I started in and kind of grew up in. It'd be interesting to see where it goes. The horses cost so much now, and they're very hard to find. There's so many more amateurs doing the Grand Prix and things like that. And that takes horses away from the top professionals a little bit. There's so many amazing shows everywhere. It's diluting a little bit the sport in some areas, I believe. You can go to 3 horse shows in one weekend if you wanted to. I think that maybe this time to regroup and stuff might have been good for the sport, just a little bit of a reset. Everyone could kind of look at what was going on. I think you're going to see more and more amateurs doing more of the top stuff. Your very, very top professionals will stay in the sport, because they'll have great sponsors, especially in Europe. I think the really good Grand Prix riders, the ones a little bit between, a business and being a sponsored, like European type rider, that's going to get really small, I think. I think that type of rider, it's going to be very hard for.
Right.
No one likes to hear no. I think that's the biggest thing, is we've allowed the amateurs not to hear no. And when they don't hear no and they only hear yes, they're going to do what they want. And that's what's happened. And we're to blame as much as anyone. We have some incredible amateurs with us. Unbelievable. And they do listen and they do try, but they don't like to hear no either. And until we're willing to stand up and say, no, you cannot, it's going to keep going this direction.
Right. Okay. Joey, I'll pose this question to you since you're the top rider in the room. You could ride one horse, any horse, past, present. Who is it?
I think that Altair would have been an amazing horse to ride.
Beth's horse.
Huh?
Beth Underhill's horse?
Beth Underhill's Altair.
Yeah, that was what an amazing horse to watch. He
really, it looked like you could jump anything at a nice canter. You didn't have to create impulsion. You didn't have to create scope. It just looked like an amazing horse to ride.
That is a great choice. Yeah, that was probably as good a canter as ever been on a horse. Good choice. That's a great choice. Well, Morley, let me ask you this question. If you could work with one rider, if you got to, you could be in the warm-up ring to help one rider, past or present, warm up, who would you pick?
Right? Why wouldn't I? Talented, motivated, consistent. Fundamentals are insane. Willing to learn. A student of the sport. You can't find any better. Now, I haven't said it's always worked that way. We've taken breaks from each other as well, and she doesn't want to hear my voice all the time. I don't like my voice half the time. But I think I am. And I wouldn't change that for anything. If our marriage ended tomorrow, I certainly wouldn't want to try to find another rider to help. That's very much the truth. I believe, yeah.
It is, and I know you're not just being glib or just trying to stay in the house. Joey is a very talented, very structured, very sophisticated rider.
I'll take this as myself. The Joey could have gone farther in this sport if I would not have been involved in the beginning, and I truly believe that. I was young and I didn't know enough, and I really she had many offers to go other places, and I begged her to at some points, but. It is what it is. We have a good marriage and we are successful. But I think her career as a rider, I know her career as a rider would have been better if I would not have been involved the way I was. But that is what it is.
It's worked out okay.
It has. No one's too upset about
it. From each of you, I'd like to finish it up with a training tip. Morley, let's start with you. You've got lots of young viewers out there. We've got lots of professionals who are just like Joey, want to get better. I know that I'm always watching the warm-up ring and always asking questions of the top people to always try to improve. What would be a training tip that you would have for people, whether it be horse or rider instruction or whatever you think?
Don't run until you can walk.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Don't pick your driver until you can putt. Don't go in the fast lane until you can drive in the slow lane. If you can make your horse walk in front of your leg on the bit, then trot. Don't canter. And that's all I see is people cantering. So, and again, I think it goes for anything. If you can trot an X-rail, try trotting a vertical. You can do that, trot an ox or whatever you want to do, but work your way up to it, and your horse will be ready for that as well. And I'm guilty. I'll send people right down to anything. But I think your fundamentals have to be strong. Have to.
Joey?
I would say similar to that, really take the time to get your basics very good. A good position, good leg, good, and work on the basics, some cavalettis and work your way up. Be patient. It takes time. You're not going to just go from 0 to 100, in 2 years, and try to be at the top of the sport. Take your time, get your basics down, be consistent with your horse and with your training.
That's fantastic. I could not echo those sentiments enough from both of you. Well put. Well, that's it for tonight. Join me next week. My special guest is Derek Braun from the Split Rock Jumping Tour. Derek's a Grand Prix rider, very successful, and he runs amazing horse shows. We're going to talk about the future of horse shows in North America with Derek. So join me next week at 7:30 East, 4:30 Pacific. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Morley. Good luck to you in the future, and it's great to see you.
Yeah.
Great
Thanks,
to see
Jay.
you. Thank you,
See you soon.
everyone.
Thank you.